One of the most common words you've probably heard when you hear about Navajo textiles is a ganado. What is a ganado weaving? Well, these are weavings that were occurred at the Hubbell Trading Post, which was founded in 1878 by Lorenzo Hubbell at Ganado. And Lorenzo Hubbell was a very interesting guy. In fact, he ended up being the sheriff of Arizona for the Apache County. He also was a state senator, and he actually ran for United States Senate. And he didn't win this, but he did have powerful friends, and he was well known within the region. When he first got to Hubbell, they were still making blankets, and blankets would soon be turned into making rugs, because at the point in time when he got there, people still wanted the blankets. Other Indians wanted blankets, but by the time the 1880s, 1890s came around, those really weren't of any use. The earliest blankets, things like this, which would have been made about that 1870 time frame, is a chief's blanket. This has raveled yarn and indigo dye. People like Randolph Hearst from San Francisco would pay $1,500 for a great classic early design. In fact, the famed artist Maynard Dixon would even act as Lorenzo Hubbell's agent in San Francisco. And there's a very famous little drawing that Dixon did of himself after the April 18th, 1906 earthquake, showing him running from his studio with blankets around his shoulders. The reason being is these were mostly Lorenzo Hubbell's blankets, and he didn't want to lose them. In fact, he lost $75 worth of blankets and rugs during that 1906 earthquake, which took him years to pay back. So these were very valuable at the time, and when people like Hubbell started selling to Hearst, they kind of wiped out those markets. In fact, from blankets like this, since they were no longer there, then you would have revival, and this would be a Hubbell revival of a chief's blanket. It's a blanket, it's 1890s, but it's really not the early late classic or classic blankets. Now, most people, when they think of Hubbell, they think of red, because he loved red. And this is an example, as well as this, of Ganados that were done in the 30s time frame. And Hubbell lived until 1930. The trading post is still there. In fact, it's 40 miles north of I-40 on 191, and I highly recommend you going and seeing it. It's still an active trading post. It's a historical building, and it's a very interesting place. There's a wonderful drawing done by Maynard Dixon that shows the post done early on when he would go and visit Hubbell. Ganados are sought after. The most sought after ones are with bold design that have the nice red, deep red design. Now, Hubbell also owned the Klagetoh Trading Post, which was just south between I-40 and, which didn't exist, of course, when he owned it, I-40 and Ganado. And the early trading posts of the Klagetoh have a different sensibilities than the Ganado, is that they used a gray background. Generally, there's a very large central diamond in the Klagetohs, and then the background is gray. Not always. Sometimes you'll see them in red. If you see the big central diamond, think Klagetoh, and these are also highly collectible. So go visit the Ganado Trading Post. It's well worth your time.